It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Boom, Miss Rusty. Well, I'm going to try that again. Boom, Miss Rusty. And we're here, and it is Tuesday, probably, as they say here. I'm going to guess it is, but yeah, so things and stuff and everything, and that's how we do. It's Tuesday, and we got some stuff going on. We got a cool guest. We got a special guest because it's Tuesday, first thing in the morning, sort of, even though I've been up for 6 hours, but it's first thing in the morning. So you know what? I'm gonna bring him on right here, right now. I believe so. I hope I'm going to. I hope I did that right today. And that's how we're doing it, because we got him right here, and it's Andrew Bradley. How you doing?
Hey, Dan Rusty, I'm good, thanks.
Man, I think I did that right today. And I'm learning this stuff still. I had a couple of people ask me to put my the entrance music, theme music, whatever you call it, on here. And I was thinking, man, I have to do all this in post and it's gonna suck. But then I think I kind of figured out how to do it where I don't have to do it in post, because I don't wanna go and mess around with the stuff afterwards. I usually just go and just put it together and upload it. I don't put it together, I just basically upload it and it's good to go. So I think I figured out how to do that, and hopefully it comes through and it's not just a bunch of blank space like it was yesterday. So so anyway, that's kind of how things go here. So where are you in the world, I guess, would be my first question. I'm trying to remember this. Are you somewhere in the UK, or was it somewhere near there?
No, I'm right in the middle of the UK, so as far from the ocean as you can get. It's pretty dull and miserable today looking out the window, but yeah, right in the UK, across the pond.
Yeah, just quick little swim, and be over there. And so, like, how far is that from the ocean then? I mean, is that like 3-4 hours or so, or?
No, UK's not that big. I think we're right in the middle, and we could get to, I think, either coast, east or west, in about 2 hours.
Oh, okay, all right.
Funnily enough, I was looking at the UK overlaid over the states in the US the other day, just for fun.
Yeah.
Because like we as a family, we travel to Florida quite a lot whenever we can.
Oh.
Yeah, and looking at it, and like Florida's like bigger than the whole of the UK, and it's like, Jesus Christ. They look at the scale of the US and it's versus the UK, and it's just so big in comparison, you can't even comprehend it. But yeah, pretty much 2 hours you can go coast to coast almost in the UK, depending on where you are.
Yeah, not a bad deal right there. So I mean, it was weird. I went down to in the Caribbean a few months ago, and I was interested in how many people there were from Europe over there. But then I'm like, I guess that's kind of where you go. Or do you go, like, if you're going to go somewhere warm, where do you go? Where's that? Is there like an equivalent of that? Sort of like, I guess Florida is here, but you go to Florida. So is there somewhere that you go over there that's like a Florida, or is it just you go to Florida?
Well, there's nowhere in the UK. It's all pretty grim, to be honest. But you got right down on the south coast. You got like Devon and that. It's a nice place, but probably for about a month every year, it's warm and it's cold the rest of the time. So most people head to Europe, to Spain, France, that sort of place for a little bit of warmth. But we actually went to Florida in October last year. Obviously got halfway across the Atlantic, and then the plane started turning. It's like, what's going on? And we ended up doing an emergency landing in Iceland.
Whoa, what happened?
Basically all of the navigation systems had just disappeared. So obviously we were on American Airlines and we're flying top of the range, brand new plane, and yeah, all of the electronics went basically. So they had to
holy shit,
navigate back to Iceland as the closest place, sort of the old-fashioned way, using transponders and whatever. emergency landing on the airport there, fire trucks driving alongside us. Ended up stuck there for 3 days because
Whoa.
I'm going to Florida, so I'm just wearing shorts. So ended up in Iceland where with the wind chill it was about -4, and ended up stuck there for 3 days. 2 young
Holy
kids,
shit.
and we didn't even couldn't even get our luggage off the plane. So it was literally the clothes we were wearing. That was it for 2 days. And then we eventually
Whoa.
got our luggage on the 3rd day before eventually flying across. But yeah, that was
You got your luggage to go and haul it back to the airport, basically.
eventually. But even then, there was nowhere to go. There was no plan for this, so we ended up getting put on little buses and driven over the mountains through a snowstorm until we got to this
Oh,
mountaintop hotel one night. And we had like a 2-year-old with us and a 9-year-old with us, so for them it's quite an
oh.
adventure. But it was awful. It really wasn't a great way to start a holiday.
You didn't get to see all those hot springs and everything else that I don't know what else Iceland has. I know hot springs pretty well.
The thing that I
But
think it's most famous for is the Northern Lights, isn't it? Where you get the green lights in
oh,
the
okay.
sky, and
Yeah.
that doesn't happen often. You know, it's only happens a few times during the year, but it was happening the night we were there. So,
Oh shit.
I couldn't go outside. It was too cold because I didn't have any clothes. I literally had shorts and a t-shirt, and it was so cold. So I ended up staying in. But my wife and my eldest daughter went out and managed to see the Northern Lights for a couple of minutes before they come running back inside, just wearing a hoodie, freezing
Yeah,
cold.
but shit, it's still
So
fucking
it's quite.
cold. Yeah.
Not many people go to Florida and see the Northern Lights, so that was quite a cool little story.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think they said that the Northern Lights we could see them here a couple of nights ago, but it was
Yeah.
cloudy, so didn't see them. But so you went to Florida. What do you think of Florida?
It's
Like, where'd
so
you go in Florida? You go to Disney World or something? Or
yeah, we stay around the Disney area and just do the very probably traditional Florida holiday. We'll always make sure we're driving around everywhere and getting as far out away from some of the touristy bits as much as we can sometimes. But yeah, it was it's just an easy one, isn't it? You got warm weather, swimming pools and that, and that's not something we have over here at all. So it's good.
yeah, it's kind of nice having that every so often. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Portland, Oregon, which is basically a lot like how it sounds like for you, where it's like you got maybe 3 months of some nice weather, and then the rest of the time is gray and just you don't see the sun for weeks. And it's like, okay, well, all right, this is what it is. But yeah, it's cool. And then so I think I saw a picture of you at a soccer match, football match. Was that something I saw on your Facebook or something? Was it?
Probably. I took a trip with a friend in February over to Germany. He was really keen on going to see some soccer in Germany. So I went with him. And I've grown up most of my life, as a kid in the UK. You grow up liking either soccer or rugby. So I
What were
grew up
you?
liking soccer. I played rugby, but my passion was always soccer. But over the last few years, that's just totally evaporated, and I've just lost so much interest in it. So it was cool to go on the trip though and have some beers and take that in. But my game now is NFL. I love football. So
Oh, what?
yeah.
How did you get switched to the NFL from? What caught your interest with the NFL?
So obviously you've got the international games every year. So I went with a couple of friends, maybe I don't know 7-8 years ago. They were going to one of the games in London, and I went along with them. Very new to the sport, didn't really understand anything at what was going on, but I thought it'll be a good day out and loved the game. So it was the Dolphins against the Saints that day, and really enjoyed it. And it just absolutely sort of grabbed hold of my interest straight away. So I was, drunk on the train on the way home. I was looking if there was any teams near me, and there was. So I ended up going and playing for a couple of years, which was quite cool. Just here in the UK, which is still a very young sport. There's not many teams. There's not that much interest, but It's
What'd you
growing.
play?
I'm a big chap, so I was playing O-line.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
How'd that go? Are you still doing that, or
No,
is that just
to be honest, I ran it with family and work, and I just couldn't commit the time to it, unfortunately. I think the difference is obviously in America, I think I'm right in saying not many people once they sort of leave school and college play football anymore, do they? Is it something that guys just tend to play up until maybe their early 20s and then stop?
yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there's a few people that are, yeah. If they're not pro, there's small little something or others that people will do, recreationally. But yeah, I don't know if there's I mean, and there's only so many people on a team and in a league. It's only like, less than 1,000 people, I think, total. So I mean, yeah, it's not a big number of people. But so was that you said that was how recently? Like a few years ago, you said?
I probably stopped playing about 4 years ago, something like that. I only played
Okay.
for a couple of years, but yeah, it was cool. It was really good to play, and since then I've become a massive Saints fan, and my wife is a Jags fan, so that's been quite
Uh,
cool because she's not into sports at all, but it's something where as I started taking an interest in it, she'd be watching it and she'd be really getting into it, and she's become as big of a fan as me now and loves it. So we actually, when we were in Florida, we drove up to Jacksonville and got the game there in October against the Giants, which was pretty cool. So that was good.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's yeah, get to go to a game in Jacksonville. So well, what was that like? What was that like seeing a NFL game being at the I don't know what it's called, the Jaguar Stadium that
It's really different.
that
So when you watch a game in the UK, when the guys come across, the atmosphere is very different because you've got 80,000 people in Wembley Stadium, but obviously every team is represented there. So you've got all 32 teams have got fans there, and you haven't got like one really partisan group of supporters for one team. So it's quite a friendly affair. It's quite generic, for want of another word. Whereas obviously going to a game in America is different because you've got everyone is there bar a few Giants fans. Everyone's there rooting for the Jags. So it's a really good atmosphere. I mean, we missed almost the first half, but because we were late getting there, but it was cool. It was really good.
So did you have any because I don't know, because like one thing that's been interesting though with it, so I've noticed this a lot in wrestling though lately. Lately there's been a lot of that came from, a lot of the, soccer, football matches of the UK, and then even the wrestling over there, a lot of the chants and it's been weird hearing it. I don't know, man. It's different. It's cool. It's like it doesn't feel right to me watching it, um but it's different because I mean it's just something that's, I guess, new to me. But I've heard it, watching, a lot of, other, matches in Europe and shit. And but yeah, it's weird that it's crossed over into wrestling now, and it seems like that's the thing to do now is get people doing chants and sing-alongs, or what, I don't know what the correct terminology is for that, but it seems to be a big thing now. Because when when I decided I was going to be a good guy for wrestling, I thought, what's the song that's going to make people go fucking ape shit for, and just want to like have a good time. And what I chose then is not what I would choose now. Now I choose something that's like some sort of, has some sort of chant, or like whoa, kind of thing going on or something. I think that's what people are into now, and it's different. So it's just, I don't know. And yeah, like everyone, have their own specific chants for each person or team. And Portland, Oregon, it was pretty cool. They've been like, they were a soccer city, and like they're in, in the States, there's not a lot of team or, places where it's a big deal. But before they ended up getting a professional team, they had a semi-pro team for a long time. And, there was the certain section of the crowd where they'd be doing chants and everybody would be really into it. And it was pretty cool. And yeah, but now it's like everyone, and it's really changed a lot of the dynamic of the whole stadium. And I don't know, I'm surprised it hasn't gone over into like American football, like NFL yet. I don't know if it will. I'm assuming that something like that's going to happen in the next year or two, but
So you've definitely, I remember, because I grew up when I was a teenager watching WWF, and you'd get the various chants, wouldn't you? But you wouldn't get sort of the sing-song like element. Whereas when WWF would come over to the UK, and I went to a couple of shows, probably early 2000, you'd have lots of singing and chanting, and it was different. You could see the guys in the ring reacting to it because it's so different. It's a different atmosphere.
yeah,
I don't know whether it's a European thing, something more, but people just like to sing along when they're in a big crowd. People like to do that, and I think it just does make a different atmosphere, doesn't it?
It does. It seems, gets everyone. I don't know. It's like the beach ball or something, or doing the wave or whatever. Is that is the wave a thing? Is that worldwide? The wave, like where
I'm not a fan of it, but that does happen. You get that at the NFL games in London a lot. That'll always happen.
Shit, really?
I'm not a big fan of that, but it happens.
So what are the fans like that come to a game, an NFL game in London? Like who's come? Is it like different fans than that you see at soccer, football matches, or is it kind of the same sort of people? Or
no, it's a different crowd. Truth is, if you go to a soccer game in the UK, most people are there to enjoy the game, support their team. But there always has been an element of people that will go there, depending on the teams involved, and there's a sinister feel to it. It's on edge, and there's at least the threat of violence, if not actually violence. That's always something that's happened in soccer, especially you go back to the 80s and the 90s. It was quite bad then, and that'll never go away. But at the NFL in games in London, it's a really good atmosphere. You haven't got like a really partisan section where you've got all the fans from a certain team that have amassed in that area. It's all so split up. So you've got every jersey. Wherever you're sat, if you look around, you can probably see a jersey from every team thereby.
Okay.
You get a lot of people travel from the States as well to the games. So I've ended up speaking to loads of different people from the States before, whether they've travelled over or now living in the UK, and it's good for them to get along to the games. But it's just a massive event. I think that's why it's so good to a British crowd, because you don't get the same level of entertainment and theatre with it. If you go to a soccer game, it's the players warm up on the pitch, the game starts, it's half time, then you have the second half and the game's finished. There's nothing else going on, and even if you're not watching the game at an NFL game, you're just watching everything that's going on. There's so much to grab your attention, isn't there?
Yeah, you get people coming out during timeouts and stuff to do some crazy shit or whatever. Cheerleaders or something come out. There aren't any cheerleaders in soccer matches that I've never seen a game where there's been cheerleaders.
I think there was one team that did for a few years in London called Crystal Palace, and I think they had cheerleaders for a while, but it's not something that's caught on. It's too cold.
Yeah.
Everyone will be wearing a massive coat and jeans. It's too cold.
That's a good point. So what was that game at Wembley? The NFL one? Was that where they played it, or did they play it somewhere else when they came in?
It's always been at Wembley, but now it's changed. So I think the only team that's contracted to play at Wembley is Jacksonville. Then there's a new stadium, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in North London. That's where I think there's a contract drawn up with the NFL now, where for the next 5-6 years, something like that, there'll be 2 games there every season now. But that stadium's been built to have especially designed to be able to take NFL games. So it's got the grass field pulls back, and then you've got the artificial pitch underneath.
Oh shit!
So I think they designed the stadium so that it would be dual purpose for soccer and NFL.
So
it's all about money, isn't it? So it's a way of guaranteeing revenue.
Yeah, everything is about money. So I mean, in a way. And so when you were playing soccer or or even football, were you playing on turf or were you playing on grass?
Normally, yeah, playing on grass. So normally ankle deep in mud.
In mud, yeah.
Just in mud. There wasn't much grass at all. So yeah, all on that.
Yeah, by the mid-season, the field's just torn to shit, and you got big puddles, and there's a few patches of grass here and there, but yeah, it was weird because you kick the ball and the ball would land in a puddle and just sort of stop and spin around for a second, and then man, after going after the match, just like going home and being covered in mud, pulling big old things of grass and shit off the bottom of your cleats, and it's freezing, but it's part of the experience. And playing on turf though, it's nice, but it hurts. That shit hurts when you're sliding on that.
It does. And I think you're more likely to twist knees and ankles, aren't you, as well? Because it's not as forgiving, is it, as playing on grass?
Playing in mud.
It's soft. At least it's soft when you land.
Yeah, right. So let's see. So okay, so to switch subjects a little bit. So you are a sleep coach? Is that sleep doctor? What would be the terminology?
So officially, I call myself a sleep and productivity coach. So basically, I get and have lots of information about sleep, and I could say to you, Rusty, can you sleep? Do you sleep? And you'd say, yeah, of course I have. I've been doing it my entire life. And that's what people do. So years ago, when somebody first suggested to me that I should work with somebody to improve my sleep, my first thought was, I've been doing it for 30 odd years. What on earth can you tell me that I don't already know? I go to bed, I shut my eyes, and then I wake up in the morning. It's simple as that, isn't it? Which on one level it is. But for a bit of background on that, so I had spent probably at that point 10 years of my life sleeping on average probably 4-5 hours of sleep every night.
Is this after you had kids?
It started before kids, actually. So kids wasn't actually as big of a factor as you'd think, but they certainly didn't help when they came along. But just through, I for a long time, I had a full-time job, which sometimes I was working shifts. So I could be working 12-hour night shifts, 12-hour day shifts, mixing that up. And and then also running a business with my wife, which we created. So, I was working 8 days a week. It felt like, and not sleeping a great deal. I'd even, the business at that point was furniture. We made furniture. So I'd finish a 12-hour night shift sometimes. Then we'd get straight in the van when I got home, drive 3-4 hours to deliver some furniture, drive back. Then I might sleep for 2 or 3 hours and then go back and do a night shift. But there's I don't know if it's the same in the US, but there's almost like a culture in the UK where, if you sleep, it's almost a weakness. If you're at work, you want to be the first one there, the last one to leave. And there's this weird bravado about it that, if you try and look after yourself or get a decent amount of sleep or refuse to be at work for 15 hours a day, then you're almost weak and a bit of a pussy, which is just stupid. It's just stupid. So we'd reached a point where we were sleeping so little, and then kids came along. So then you're sleeping even less. And then we got really busy with work as well. And it was actually my wife got introduced to somebody who was a sleep coach, and she started working with them. And she was like, this is like so simple, yet so massively effective for her. So I ended up chatting to him a few weeks later, and he ended up working with the two of us. And on the one hand, you're thinking, this is so simple and obvious what you're sort of telling me here. You're giving me lots of information, but it's really obvious, yet it's so effective. So, just there's so many things. There's probably 1,000 things that I could sit here and list off now that will affect your sleep tonight and tomorrow and the day after that. But just by making some really simple changes and sort of applying that information to somebody's life, you can actually make this massive impact where, you can, if you improve your sleep, you're reducing, potential health issues in the future. You've got less chance of being obese. You've got more chance of having better mental health and being happy. You're going to be fitter, healthier, happier. You're going to be a better person to be around. And when you consider that, when you sleep at night, that's your body's chance to repair physically. It's your chance to repair mentally. We spend a third of our life sleeping, but then sort of take for granted the sleeping part.
Right.
So what I do is I work with people or businesses and their teams to give them that information they need and then help them apply that to their lives. And it have massive benefits, really big benefits to it.
Sure. So are people coming in, saying they can't sleep, or are you working with that at all? Or is it just like they don't think sleep's important, or what is it kind of more of?
So I tend to end up working with two types of people. There's those people that at this end of the scale that are really struggling with their sleep. So they might have a really busy job. They might work shifts. They might be an entrepreneur and have their own business. And, especially when you're starting a business, you work so hard because your business is you. Even if it grows in time to employ 20, 30 people, at the beginning, it's just one person. So you have to do everything. And which is where we were at when we got some help. So it's either people that are sort of at the end of the scale where they're absolutely exhausted. Something's going to give soon. And it's either going to be their body is going to break down or their business is going to fail. So it's people at that end of the scale, or it's at people at the total other end of the scale where they might be an athlete or they're a really successful business person. And now they're just looking for those fine margins. They've had the success. They've reached maybe close to the pinnacle of what they can, but they're just looking for those small 1% gains.
Yeah.
The real opportunity is the people in the middle, but they're the people that don't realize that actually they could achieve a lot more. They're probably quite happy maybe with what they're doing with their life and they feel okay. But there's such an opportunity for those people in the middle to really sort of ramp up how well they feel, how successful they are, how fit and healthy they can be, yet they're probably doing okay, so they don't realize. So I end up tending to work with either the two extremes of people that are really, really successful and doing well and just want to find those small little gains, or the people that have reached the absolute sort of end of the line and are struggling so much.
So how do you find those people in the middle? Like, why aren't they fucking coming? Like, how do you grab them and say, "Hey, you fucking idiot, come over and see me"? You wouldn't say that. You get someone like me to go and say it for you. But why aren't they? Is there a certain reason you think that they just is it? Yeah, they just are like okay, and okay is good enough. But
I think that's what it is. I think okay is good enough for most people, and that's not a problem. That's fine. But I think there's probably a lot of people. I mean, I fell into this trap where I had a job. It was a decent job. It was okay, and I could have sat in that for a long time and been relatively happy. And sometimes it's not until you see the other side of things where you realize that, wow, I'm glad I made that change, or I'm glad that I didn't just settle for okay. Because I think you go through stages of your life where that's absolutely the right thing to do. Sometimes you have to stay in your lane and just do what you're doing and work through certain times of your life. And there's sometimes where you need to make changes and you need to push on. So I know from my example, not that I want to be negative or tell a sad story here, but we went through sort of around about 2015 for 3 years. We had a really significant death in our family, which had quite a big impact on us. So my wife lost her dad, I lost my dad, and then we lost a baby every year for 3 years in a row. So at the end of all of that, we're in quite not a good place. We're in quite a dark place at the end of those 3 years. And that led into a point where we kind of realized that, look, we either get a grip of how we're feeling and we start making changes to be more positive and to create a more happier life for us, or we give up. And me and my wife, we spoke about it, and we weren't ready to give up and just settle for okay at that point, because I'll be honest, I looked at my father and he'd had an okay life. That's what he'd done. It was okay, but it wasn't remarkable. He had probably potential to have done a lot more with it, but he was happy with okay, and that's fine. But I realized I don't want to be just okay. He died younger than he probably should have done. The same for my father-in-law as well. And they probably could have achieved more, and I think they probably would have been more fulfilled if they had. So, we both, me and my wife, made the decision that we want to do something more and not just settle for okay and strive for a little bit more. And it just so happened that the chance meeting with the guy who first helped us with our sleep really became the start of that journey of trying to do more and achieve more. And yeah, so it wasn't just our sleep. We realized that it changed our outlook on everything, health and happiness, and not actually chasing to have a really nice car on the driveway, and to reprioritize about what's important and what our goals were.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And so what was that chance meeting where you met the sleep coach? I mean, what was going on? Were you searching on the internet looking for someone to help out, or do you run into him on the street, or something at I don't know.
So it all started was I said that my wife had lost the baby. So after that, we'd moved house 5 days after we lost the baby. We had to move house because we'd bought a new place. We would have moved in there a few months before the baby was born, but obviously things didn't happen that way. So we had this terrible experience of that happening, and then straight away into the stress of moving house less than a week later. Anyway, after we'd moved, it was to a new area, and my wife wanted to rejoin a gym, so she went to this local gym, really nice little place, and started going there, and ended up becoming friends with the owner of there, and he shared a book with her of a guy who went on to become our business coach and friend as well. And it was sort of that beginning of that, getting that book and reading that, it sort of opened up this different world, which is where we're at now, where we want to, not just be okay. And it was just sort of through that relationship that we got introduced to this guy. And like I say, my first opinion on that was, what's the point? I know how to sleep. I've been doing it for 30 odd years. You don't need to tell me anything, but like I say, it all sort of panned out, and we realised that there was a massive opportunity there to change this one thing and have such an impact. But I think I said it before, you spend a third of your life asleep, yet so many people never really think about it. You just shut your eyes at night and go to bed and assume that everything just happens. But there's actually a lot within your control that you can do that can really influence it. And it's not just about the length of sleep, it's the quality of it is the most important bit.
So, I mean, is that stuff you're doing when you go to bed or stuff you're doing throughout the day, or a combination of both?
It's a combination of the both, but your your bedtime starts the minute you wake up. So from the minute you wake up, your hormones will kick in your body. Certain ones will get released, and that's what makes you wake up in the morning. You know, if you don't set an alarm clock, you're still going to wake up at some point in the morning. Most people would anyway. But you basically what you do from the minute you wake up and the way you approach your day from a mindset point of view, but from what you do, when you eat, when you drink, what you eat, what you drink, all of those things build up through the day to basically spit out a picture at the end of the day of that's what you've done. And this is where it sort of leaves your body. Because, you know, you reach a point in the night where your body wants to shut down. It doesn't want to do anything. You know, it needs to repair, regenerate. Pardon me. It needs to digest food. It needs to start doing all of these processes overnight that repair your organs and repair your brain and all these things. So if you haven't done the right things during the day, your body can't do those things. So yeah, it starts with a morning routine, finishes with an evening routine, and then there's a structure to put in place sort of through the day. But the most important thing with any of it, which I always find, is that, you know, I could have a list of 1,000 things that are optimal, a list of 1,000 things that in a perfect world, that's what you do, but that's not realistic. So the most important thing is when I work with somebody is to get to know them pretty quickly and, you know, understand what their life is really like. Because the one thing I did find is when we were working with a sleep coach ourselves is that they had this wonderful bachelor lifestyle where, you know, they were at that point, they were single, no kids, no real commitments. All they were focusing on was business and living in Dubai in a beautiful penthouse. And it's like, brilliant. That's all good. You can do all of these optimal things because you haven't got loads of time every day dealing with
Right.
children, running a business, having another job, all of these other things. So all of the great advice they were giving never quite fit for me because we're still really busy and got so much going on. So one of the things that I think is so important when I work with people is to understand what their life is like early on and then make the advice fit. Because I think there's so much in the world now, there's so much advice and information available, and people just try and take that advice and make it fit them. But that's not possible. You know, if you've got your own specific commitments, things that you have to do, you can't just expect to take something off the shelf and it just fits. So what I do is I will understand what people's challenges are and work with them to understand, right, this is the piece of advice here. How can I make that work for you in a way that is going to be realistic and sustainable and something that you'll still do next week? Because there's no point just saying, yeah, do this, and you do it for 2 days and then you stop because you're not going to get any benefit from that.
Right. So is it consistency kind of key for this, to at least for, you know, some of the core, you know, bits of the structure to have a better quality of sleep? Or is it, you know, do whichever ones you can during the day? Or
I think consistency is key in anything. You know, if you want to improve anything in your life, if you do it consistently, you're going to get results, good or bad. You know, if you consistently eat crap, you're going to be unhealthy. If you consistently eat well, you'll be healthier. So I think that consistency is absolutely massive, but also being realistic. You know, I've worked with people in the past who they want results now. They want to feel better immediately. And then when you talk to them at the end of the first week, it's like, did you do this? I didn't do it for the third and the fourth day. Okay. Did you do this? Yeah, every day. Brilliant. What about this? No, I forgot about that. So you can't expect to get results. You know, it's like, it's an investment, isn't it? Anything is. The more you put in, the more you get out. So if you're putting pennies into something, you might get a few dollars out. If you're putting hundreds of dollars into something in terms of your effort, you're going to get thousands back out. So it's all about the input. The better quality input, the better quality output you're going to get.
Yeah. And so what does your, what's your day look like average to be able to optimize your sleep?
So I think for me, the sort of the optimal day, and I will have sort of 3 different days. So, for my morning routine, I've got the A game, which is where I've got just the time that I need and I want. Pardon me. No distractions. Everything's going to plan. I feel okay. I haven't picked up the flu or anything like that. So, and then I'll have sort of lesser versions than that. So, for whatever reason, I've got to be going out of the house an hour earlier today. I'll have a different version which allows for that. So the way I call it is I always have collapsible segments in the day. So, your day will be structured. You'll have blocks of time for this, that, and the other. There's things I'll need to achieve, different habits I need to make sure that I've ticked off as the day goes by. But you've always got to have collapsible segments in there, because the perfect day will never happen, or it might happen one in 100. And so I think it's really important to have things in there that, my plan is that I'm going to achieve this today in that period of time. But if it doesn't, fuck it. It's okay. It doesn't matter if you don't get it quite right. But back to your question. So my morning routine is the sort of the same key things every morning. So you mentioned consistency. So I go to bed within sort of a 10-15 minute window. I go to bed at the same time every night. And then because I've done that consistently over a period of time, my body now consistently wakes up in a 10 to 15 minute window every morning. So I can't remember the last time I used an alarm clock. So I'll go to bed at between 9:15, 9:30 every night, and I will wake up between 6:15 and 6:30 every morning. Just because that's how your body works. You've got your chronological clock, your circadian rhythm. It will just do it because your body wants routine. It's what it wants. It cries out for it. And it uses sunlight for that. But obviously when you've got winter and summer, the sunlight's at a different time. But if you remain consistent, your body clock will still allow you to have that same consistent window. So I'll wake up that time. First thing I always do is I get a litre of water down my neck as quickly as I can. You'll lose about a litre every night just through sleeping, just through breathing in your sleep. You lose about a litre of water. So
are you doing hot or cold water or warm water or what?
Just room temperature for me, just room temperature water.
Yeah.
Then the next most important thing for me is light. So, back to when we were cavemen, your entire day was set around the sun rising and the sun setting at night, and then the daytime you were hunting and trying to catch food. So the sunlight's so important. So always 20 minutes of light in the morning. If it's middle of winter and it's still dark outside, you can get artificial light. But it doesn't have to be anything particularly exciting. If you need to use artificial light because the sun's not rising early enough in your area, just any light, just get as much light as you can will trigger the senses, and it just starts releasing cortisol, which is the hormone in your body that will wake you up and give you that burst of energy in the morning. The thing that's really important to miss in the morning is caffeine. So I don't know if you're a coffee drinker.
Yeah.
Andy, but
I wasn't for a long time, and I just got back into it. And yeah, it fucks with me. It's it's good not drinking it in the morning. Especially if I do, I like to wait like at least an hour and a half, 2 hours before not waking up, hitting the coffee thing right away.
Yeah, exactly that. So I always, with caffeine, avoid the first sort of hour and a half. And then usually you want to restrict that as well. So you're not drinking anything beyond sort of 2 p.m.
Yeah.
When you want to be stopping, because the half-life of caffeine means if you have a cup of coffee at 4 or 5 o'clock, and I know a lot of people do before they finish work, it's, we'll get one last coffee. You're just creating a problem for your brain, because caffeine doesn't give you energy. All it does is it just blocks the natural stuff in your body that makes you feel tired. It just stops you feeling tired. It doesn't actually make you feel any more alert. But yeah, definitely sort of mid-morning, 10 o'clock till 2 o'clock is the window I recommend for caffeine.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good Good time. And then so you're going, I mean, yeah, going to bed at the same time. It's such a foreign concept when you're younger. It's just like, no, I'm gonna stay out. I'm gonna, party till whatever fucking time in the morning. And then, but now it's like, okay, I watch Jeopardy and it's like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed now. It's good now. But yeah, then I'm waking up same time in the morning every day. And yeah, just how
I
important it is to I understand.
Yeah, so I think so on Friday night, me and my wife went out. We went down to London and we had really late night. We got back to the hotel about 4:30 in the morning, and then I'm like, yeah, this is what I used to do every weekend when I was younger. This is great.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. The next day, it took me about 3 days to get over it. I'm still feeling the effects of it now because
Yep.
you get your body just, the older you get, so you can't deal with it the same. But the real interesting thing for me is the way I felt on Saturday, the day after. I realized that this is how I used to feel every day of my life. When I wasn't sleeping enough and that, I felt awful on Saturday. I was like, Jesus Christ, I cannot believe that I feel so bad because I've had one late night. But the more I thought about it, I realized that this is how I used to feel every day, Monday to Friday. Every day of the week, I'd feel like this because I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't prioritizing it. I was prioritizing work over rest and repair. But your body is brilliant at hiding that. And so all that was happening is that my body was just getting used to it and allowing me to not feel the effects quite so badly. So, from a psychological point of view, I felt terrible all of the time back then, but my brain sort of masked it so that I didn't feel it quite as bad. But looking
Yeah.
back now, after one bad night of sleep, I realized that I used to feel terrible every single day. It's just that my brain was trying to hide it so that I could get through those days. And that was quite a big thing for me to realize that, the impact that the changes that I've made have had now
Yeah.
compared to then.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That or like when was that? Like a week and a half ago, I think. I don't think it was this week. Yeah, it must have been last weekend. Last Friday, I went out. I was in the city, and yeah, I was up till like 3, 4 in the morning. And I was fucked for like 3, 4 days after that. And still, like, I think it's been 9, 10 days, and I'm still starting to like finally recover and get back to a regular cycle. And I mean, it's important that, like, same with like wrestling. I mean, be like on the road, like get done with the show at midnight and then drive 3, 4 hours and then sleep for like 2 hours in the morning and then like fucking go again. And I mean, like I was doing that in my mid 30s, and yeah, I didn't realize how bad it fucked me up until, luckily, I guess, yeah, I mean, I busted my knee and ended everything. And that was great. It was great. I didn't know it. I didn't know how important it was, like,
Mm.
just to get on to some sort of regular sleep. And it's so, I mean, if you're gonna, you gotta know what you gotta do is you gotta hit up Andrew Bradley. And how are people gonna hit up Andrew Bradley to learn how to do it?
So the best place you get more information, you can contact me is at the website, which is www.thesleep.pro. And then from there, there's a links to my Facebook and Instagram as well. But
Perfect.
yeah, it's really cool because I've worked with guys in the States as well, both one-to-one, and also for next week, I'm a couple of small businesses that I'm going to do a little sleep talk for their colleagues via Zoom. So looking
That's a
forward to
good
that, and
idea.
it should be cool.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Hey, thank you so much for being on. Love to get and talk to you and learn more about something we do a third of our life with, but very rarely talk about. So yeah, I hope yeah, get more people sleeping well. And I don't know whatever time it was, like 4 o'clock there,
Yeah,
almost
4 o'clock now.
4 o'clock. Yeah. So you're past the caffeine point of the day, getting to wind down. So yeah, hopefully. And yeah, if you
Nah,
ever, need to have trouble falling asleep, you can always, put on some Rusty Diamond comedy Put you right to sleep, man. It looks like Benadryl. But yeah, so thank you so much for coming on, and thank you everybody for listening. And that's probably close to something, I bet, because that's oh, if I can do this, can I just get right on that? It looks like it's already doing that. That is the show, man. Right? Because boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
All right. Oh, I don't know how I get rid of it. So I guess that's the end. So do I stop?